What's up, guys? For my second video, I want to talk about this guy. So this is my belt. I'm a purple belt. I've been training jiu-jitsu for 6 to 7.5 years now, probably. So purple belt is the third belt. After white and blue, you get your purple. The question I want to answer today is, what is the most important belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? So the order of progression in the belts is white. That's what you get when you come in, you sign up. And then between the white belt and the blue belt, which is the next belt, what you're doing is you're learning basics, fundamental jiu-jitsu. After 1 to 2 years, you move up to your blue belt. Your blue belt, you're really finding out what your game is, what you like to do. You're learning about how your body type reacts and performs certain movements, and you're really starting to adjust and develop what will be your game. Purple belt is, a lot of people call it the rolling belt. You spend a lot of time rolling or grappling, a lot of time drilling and repping, but tons of time just on the mat grappling, aggressive, sometimes flowing, and you really start to learn and figure out what your game really is, and you're working and developing on that timing that you need at the beginning of your purple belt up until the end to become a brown belt. Once you hit brown belt, your timing is the biggest difference between a new brown belt and a new purple belt. This brown belt has spent so much time on the mat, drilling, repping, repeating the process, grappling, and really figuring out when and where to act in certain ways, in certain situations, what to do. And timing is the biggest difference. They could know the same jiu-jitsu, but it's gonna feel different from that brown belt than it is that new purple belt. I think that brown belt's one of the shorter belts for a lot of academies. Purple belt, I think a lot of time is spent there. White and blue is hit or miss depending on the mat time you're putting in, the time that you're coming. But brown belt, I think, is one of the shorter belts depending on who you are, because all you're doing from that point after you've earned the brown up until the black belt, but all you're really doing is you're increasing that timing, you're repping and drilling, and you're fixing the biggest holes in your game and your movements, and you are just, it's a refining process before you become that black belt. A lot of people are discouraged when they hear that it takes 8 to 10 to 12 years to get a black belt. You shouldn't be. That black belt is not the end, is where you're starting, in a sense. Once you get that black belt, you are now, if we broke it down and did ages as the belts, that white belt is like a toddler learning how to walk, learning how to shrimp. It's the same thing. You get into that blue belt area where you're on the cusp of, or you just got it. Now you're sort of refining those basics, making them crisp, clean, and adding them to the bigger part of jiu-jitsu. You're grappling, your techniques, figuring out what's going on, learning about the way the body works. And then purple belt, you are not quite a teen yet. I'd say early teens. This is an analogy, by the way, if you haven't figured out. But you're now at this point where you're starting to get a grasp on it. You're starting to understand what this jiu-jitsu stuff's all about. And then we hit brown belt, late teens. If we had to relate that to life, I would say brown belt is your late teens. You've got a good grip. You've learned a lot. You've came this far. And then you get your black belt, and you're thrown into the world of jiu-jitsu. You're thrown out there now. After you get black belt, this is where it gets crazy. You can be a black belt for 1 year and go to a tournament, a competition, and you're ending up grappling against a black belt that's been a black belt for 18 years. This is where your jiu-jitsu really starts, man. It's where you have the understanding and the knowledge to move forward with it. But out of all these belts, what is the most important? I'm gonna have to say white belt. And I'll tell you how I came to this idea. I've always thought, you know, white belt, this is where you're building everything that your jiu-jitsu career will be. White belt is you're learning the basics, the fundamentals. Like I said earlier, I related shrimp to walking. It really is. Learning how to move on your back. You're relearning how to walk. But all these fundamentals, your bridging, your front rolls, your back rolls, your sit-throughs, your technical stand-up, all this stuff is the building blocks or the foundation of everything else that you'll do in jiu-jitsu. So that's why I've always thought it was the most important. But I had a buddy that told me something and I really thought about it. The white belt is the most important belt because it's the only belt you earn through courage. It takes a lot to walk into a mat fully knowing that most of the people out there are miles ahead of you and fully expecting to get your ass beat, for lack of a better word. You come in here, you sign up, your instructor, you know, gives you your gi and your belt, and you learn how to tie that white belt, and you step on the mat. That takes courage. Every other belt after that is perseverance. So, interesting take on it. Hope you guys think about it. Leave your ideas down in the comments below. Make sure you thumbs up the video, share it. Let's see what other people think about this, who agrees, who disagrees. But I appreciate it.